The Last 100 Days, FDR at War and at Peace, by David B. Woolner. David B. Woolner's The Last 100 Days, FDR at War and at Peace examines the final months of Franklin Delano Roosevelt's life and presidency. Woolner is well situated to write this book. He is currently a senior fellow at the Roosevelt Institute, as well as a history professor at New York's Marist College. Additionally, Woolner has authored and co-authored previous books on FDR, including Franklin D. Roosevelt, the Vatican, and the Roman Catholic Church in America, 1933 to 1945, FDR and the Environment, and more. Woolner noted in the preface the importance of this period in Roosevelt's presidency. By the end of 1944, FDR was sick, tired, and to those around him clearly nearing the end of his life. Woolner wrote, quote, "By focusing on FDR at a time when his reduced capacity for work meant that he had to set strict personal and public priorities, we can discern what mattered most to him." The Last 100 Days is a narrative history of Roosevelt's presidency beginning in December 1944, not long after FDR's precedent-setting election to a fourth term in office. Woolner looks at FDR's health and family life at Hyde Park, as well as the many demands placed upon him at this point in his presidency. The book then follows FDR and his entourage as they sailed first to Malta and then to Yalta, the final meeting of the wartime Big Three, Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin. Woolner noted FDR's rebuffs to meet with Churchill before the official Yalta conference, lest he engender mistrust among the Soviets. Even the urgings of Roosevelt's closest advisor, Harry Hopkins, couldn't get FDR to meet with the British Prime Minister privately before the conference. Woolner presents FDR as the man who conducted diplomacy through personality. The president's greatest tool in forging and maintaining the alliance was his ability to charm and a belief that he could build personal connections of trust with other leaders. Quote, "A key difference between Roosevelt and his two counterparts lay in FDR's faith in his intuitive ability to read the tenor of every conversation and to influence the outcome through his powers of persuasion." Against the Soviets, however, FDR met tough, practiced negotiators that challenged him on post-war questions such as German occupation, Poland's borders, and his own pet project, the United Nations. Woolner also reported on FDR's visit to Egypt after the conference at Yalta. There he met with various African and Arab leaders such as Egypt's King Farouk, Ethiopia's Haile Selassie, and King Ibn Saud of Saudi Arabia. There he tried to impress on the Arab world the need for a Jewish home in Palestine, an issue that met with stiff resistance from King Saud. Still, Woolner offers this mission as proof of FDR's desire to see the Jews of Europe return to Israel. Quote, "The most convincing evidence of the sincerity of FDR's commitment to a Jewish state can be found in his decision to go to Egypt after Yalta." Woolner concludes the work with chapters on FDR's death in Warm Springs, Georgia, and the reaction to it around the world, as well as an appraisal of his presidency. Woolner drew upon primary sources such as the diaries of FDR's cousin Daisy Suckley, correspondence between Roosevelt and Churchill, and the notes of Secretary of State Edward R. Stettinius, to name but a few. Several secondary source works are cited, including David McCullough's Truman, Martin Gilbert's Winston S. Churchill, Road to Victory, 1941 to 1945, and Edward M. Bennett's Franklin D. Roosevelt and the Search for Security, 1933 to 1939, among others. Flipping the idea of Roosevelt's first 100 days on its head, Woolner created an engaging and readable account of the president in his final days. The portrait he paints is one of a leader who literally worked himself to death in the service of his country. Roosevelt was a wartime leader whose energies were exerted not only to end the Nazi and Japanese aggression around the world, but also to secure a peaceful post-war settlement. The book conveys the man's dynamism as a force of nature, but one that severely took its toll on his health. The book also offers some wonderful new insight on FDR's mission to Egypt after the Yalta Conference and his sincere attempts to find the Jews a new home. Its treatment of the Yalta Conference and the critical negotiations that took place there are also well crafted and demonstrate further the kind of strains that FDR worked under during that critical period of the war.